Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
I'm Sal Abenanti, and I'm here on Kickstarter to ask for your support to produce my 115-page color graphic novel, The Hostage. Hostage is set in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, based on the plight of the street children that live in the favelas. In the world of the graphic novel, being murdered daily, and the hostage is the evil spirit that is raised to avenge their death. Origins go all the way back to the indigenous tribes of the Amazon as the spirits that protect children, especially murdered children. The level of death that these kids have to endure every day. They have nowhere to sleep. They have no place to eat. They have to survive off of begging. There were nobody in capes that were coming to save these kids.
Due to the following CBS School Break special, Magnum PI will not be seen today. It will be broadcast tomorrow in the regular time period.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's time again for another Outer Limits review on To the Outer Limits. John Suntress here with Gabe Hardman. Good to see you, Gabe.
Good to see you, John.
We are talking tonight about The Guests.
The Guests.
Featuring the former film noir siren, Gloria Graham.
Absolutely. Along with some other really interesting actors, too. Although the day is a very simple name of this episode, but there's also a Leonard Cohen song called "The Guests," and I've had that song stuck in my head all week long. And then I ordered the vinyl to listen to it. So it was an effective selling tool for a 1979 Leonard Cohen record.
Ironic, because I was thinking about the Hotel California, because it to me had a bit of a similar theme as far as that goes. So a very, very weird episode. You got to give it to Peach. I think this was very atmospheric for it not being.
Absolutely. Cinematographer Kenneth Peach. I think he did step up. I think it's a testament to just basically. I mean, with every DP ever, it's about them being pushed. And if the director is pushing them to do something that's more atmospheric, they're going to do it. But I think he did a good job. I mean, I think that like early on. Jeff Parker's here.
Finish your thought, and we're going to introduce Jeffrey. Absolutely.
So, like early on in this podcast, I said that I thought that there were going to be sci-fi episodes that John Suntress liked, and there were going to be bizarre gothic episodes that I liked, and I think that that's pretty much bore itself out. And I think that we're in the area of a gothic-y one that I like tonight.
I liked it as well. And honestly, I mean, you can make comparisons to Do Not Open Till Doomsday, an earlier episode that I really detest.
Yeah.
But this one I found a bit more palatable, even though it ended with a brain that looked like a butt brain, if you will.
I loved it. But let's introduce Jeff Parker.
Hi. Thanks for having me back, guys.
What'd you think, Jeff?
I was into it, even though it's very much ended up being a repeat of the goo thing in a box episode.
Do Not Open Till Doomsday.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Although I do think
that's a good subtitle for that episode. Absolutely.
In some ways, I actually think. I mean, although I don't think that this one was as kind of like well executed. I think that there's kind of more interesting stuff going on in under the surface of this one, I think, and just with the themes and stuff, and the dreams and illusions and all of that business that that gave it a little bit more breadth to this idea behind it, I think.
Absolutely, and I think there was more cohesion in this idea than the Doomsday idea. But that said, and I really enjoyed it, and I forget her name, but I'm going to bring up her image in a second.
Luana Anders?
Actually,
no.
Crotchety Neville Burt.
Nellie Burt. Yeah.
Nellie Burt, excuse me.
She was really good.
She was, but I got to say, batshit crazy from the silent era that was in Do Not Open Till Doomsday was crazier.
Yes.
And I would have liked to have seen her in this group. Although, again, Nellie Burt did fantastic in this, very much so, in a lower key way.
Yeah, but I think that the lower key thing was kind of part of what made her character interesting. I mean, her kind of weird grinning and bizarre embrace of the circumstances that they were in. Like, even when it didn't feel like, it was motivated at all, And like, I liked the portrayal of her husband, who seemed, who, like, it's nice. Vaughn Taylor is the actor.
That's right.
And they, he was the boss, Janet Leigh's boss in Psycho, and he, like, the thing that so we haven't talked about it at all, but I mean, basically the concept of this is that a drifter comes across a dying Burt Mustin.
Yes, indeed.
Burt Mustin is one of those actors that if you watched anything like pre-1973, you know who he is, right?
He even made it to, like, All in the Family.
Yeah.
And it was even in all, actually, you could push it to, like, 77 or 78.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like, I think I first remember him from, like, a Leave It to Beaver episode. And
he was Gus. He was Gus the fireman, absolutely, in Beaver,
exactly.
yes.
So, like, but what I love, apparently Burt Mustin didn't even start acting until he was, like,
70.
Like 70 years old, right? But when the drifter finds him, he goes and tries to find help in a house, and in the house he says that he ran across this old man, and he's coming for help for him, and he says he's the oldest man he's ever seen. Burt Mustin is not even wearing makeup in this, right? It's not like
I thought there was probably not the way he's contorting his face. It probably is natural wrinkles.
He's just, it's like everybody's just like, yeah, you know what? You're 70 years old. You're the oldest man who ever lived. We don't, and that's sort of borne out. I mean, I think that he's kind of thought of as the oldest man who ever lived in many ways.
He's in Andy Griffith. I'm sure Parker could name like another half dozen. I can think of a couple others, if not.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what it is I always think of him in.
But that kind of...
Say it.
Who's
Say it
the
again.
other old guy
the other old guy, like, that's like that? Oh,
in this
Charles. Oh, in this one?
Yeah.
In this one, it's Vaughn Taylor.
Vaughn Taylor, yeah, the guy who was in Psycho.
God,
but
he's such an Alex Toth drawing walking around.
It's true. It's
hilarious.
Really true. Yeah. 100%.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, for my favorite Burt Mustin, it's in the Brady Bunch when Bobby idolizes Jesse James. And Burt Mustin's grandfather is a Jesse James victim, and I just love the line that is haunting Bobby in his nightmares. He's a mean, dirty killer. A mean, dirty killer.
I think that of all Brady Bunch episodes, I think that one actually really struck me when I was a kid.
Come on, man! And the family gets shot in the back by Jesse James by him going bang with his finger,
and
everyone is dying a gruesome death.
Why?
That's like when the Brady Bunch kind of collided with Saw, and it got really scary for those.
Yeah, or at least some kind of really deep morality play.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that so that he goes in the house, and there are there are these various characters: Gloria Graham, as we say, Vaughn Taylor, Nellie Burt is his wife, and Luana Anders. And it turns out that Burt Mustin was actually her father, and when he escaped the place, he aged to the age that he really was. But so like, oh yeah, Vaughn Taylor in The Lineup is a great call. Jack Gratton. I actually just watched that movie pretty recently. It's really entertaining.
Yeah, I want to say I think movies, that digital channel that has commercials, but always shows fantastic and obscure old movies. Great stuff. And then on the other hand, they show The Dark Corner with Lucille Ball pretty much every month, because I think it's like public domain or something.
And you're saying that The Dark Corner with Lucille Ball, mind you, is an early Douglas Sirk movie.
It's a classic.
You're like,
hey,
look,
hey, no. Come on now. I'm just saying, though, they show it kind of the way It's a Wonderful Life used to be shown before, someone got the copyright back.
Right. Or Beastmaster.
Sure.
Yeah. At least in the 80s and 90s.
British remake, American remake with Stallone. Whatchamacallit? Michael Caine.
Get Carter?
Get Carter. Yeah. Every time you see the cable guy, hey, it's Michael Caine. No, it's Sylvester Stallone. All right. What are you going to do? Anyway, but I digress. No, this is, again, and I've got the examples when we mention that the DP Peach really did a great job. I got some great stuff here. I mean, just the weird little mental corridors that.
And that would be the art director as well, and so when we get, ultimately these people are kept in this house, they're not actually prisoners of the house. They're just prisoners of their own vanity. They can't, if they leave, they know that they're going to die, or they know that they're going to age or whatever to catch up with the time that they have been staying in this thing, since Gloria Graham was an old, a silent film actress who went back to the stage, and in 1935 she was traveling back to Hollywood and got stuck in the house. So really? If she left, she would age.
I mean, I really thought we were going to see more Gloria Graham in this, and it really.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, she's really underserved by it. It's, I mean, obviously this is not a high point in her career. She was a star. She was at least a level of star. I mean, she's in one of my favorite movies ever, In a Lonely Place, the Nicholas Ray movie. She has a particularly unique relationship with Nicholas Ray, who she married and then divorced and then married his son. Yeah. And that's a whole thing in and of itself. But she was also, she's also in The Big Heat. She gets the coffee thrown in her face by, she's by Lee Marvin. She's in The Bad and the Beautiful, another great movie.
Kirk Douglas, absolutely. Lana Turner.
Everybody knows her as Violet Bick. Just
right, Violent Bane's in It's a Wonderful Life, and Ado Annie in Oklahoma. Just a girl who can't say no.
Yeah. Okay.
The girl
but
say no. Wait. Crap! I was going to go up to a little number, and I'm not going to now.
Oh, not to be confused with the Karen Valentine ESP show, The Girl with Something Extra.
Okay. Sure, John.
With John Davidson.
Okay, great. But so
It's a Lonely Place in a little bit, though. Even though
what's that?
Anything.
What about It's a Lonely Place again? Say, Jeff.
Can we come back to it later? Because
sure, it's a great movie. I love that.
By all means, I could talk a lot.
Great Nate Bogart, absolutely, man.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, what is in theory keeping this this group in the house? Is they're a part of a sort of experiment by a blobby, possibly alien. Who knows what? We really don't get any indication of where it's from, but I know where it's from because it's the top half of the costume from the mice.
Yeah.
The one with the Henry Silva episode that ran around like a goofball and bumped into things and had claws. But they basically just took the hat off of it, made it a new monster in this. But I gotta say, I think it's pretty effective. I like it.
It's all right.
No, I think that it is more kind of it's more interesting and iconic and weird in this than that dumb looking guy running around in the mice.
I'll give you that.
I think that one of the things about this episode that is sort of underserved as well. Usually, I'm on board for the part where they basically just tip the monster or whatever at the very beginning. But what I did not care for in this was showing the brain house first, right? Like there's a house on a hill, it's a brain, and then it turns into a house, right? But it's a brain, like a giant alien brain, and I like that a lot. I just wish that they could have held on to that until the end. You know, when we push in on the forehead of the blob thing, and then we show that the outside of the house is its brain. And look, I don't know. I love that. I love that. I love the stuff that is so abstract and crazy. And even if it's even if it's a little bit of just oversight on the part of the people making it, I still love it.
Like a dolly painting.
Yeah,
sure.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And the fact that it's not, no one underlines it, and it doesn't really, I think makes it even more interesting and crazy. I mean, there's nobody who says, "Hey, look, the house is a brain." But am I wrong? But did this not have a control voice?
It did not, and I was going to talk about that as well. Isn't it interesting that this is an exception where we don't have? I was so expecting the flowery, postscript. Here we go. Here's my greeting card before you leave.
Control would say. This is one of those rare times everybody says the subtext.
Yeah.
It's right there. Yeah, there's nothing more to say. Yeah, you're right, and it's the first, and it's so funny because I literally was ready to pounce on whatever the control narration would have been, and it wasn't there, and that's a wise choice on their part because that's the one thing I would say that compared to Twilight Zone, there are times that as we've described before, sometimes the control narration can get very Criswell.
Well, I think that it can go wrong on the Twilight Zone too, but I don't actually, in general, I don't think it's a great idea to have narration's probably not a great idea. No matter what, underlining stuff is not my favorite thing in the world.
Work with Rod Serling because Rod Serling comes in and brings you back to normalcy. He's your anchor in the world. When he comes in, is literally standing in front of the people who are possessed by the devil or whatever, so it worked there. It doesn't always work on this show. And I read the wiki, and they're talking about how the script was mostly written by Donald Sanford, who's rewriting it and then this is where I just like, what? Because it was a Charles Beaumont script.
Wow.
Beaumont's one of my favorite of the Richardson, Matheson, Bradbury era writers. He was one of their contemporaries. He was like everybody's favorite Twilight Zones are written by him. Anytime there's a devil arguing about it being shown a contract, that's always Charles Beaumont. Right.
Well, from what I read, though, apparently whatever it was that Beaumont pitched, I don't think he ever wrote a script. I think this was when he died not that long after this and became very ill at the end of his life. And I think that he had just pitched an idea that was not like story-wise, it wasn't all that similar. It was a person trapped in a town sort of story, kind of like a Twilight Zone he had written. But the one element that was in that script that went through the whole thing was the house brain.
House is a brain.
But I guess that it wasn't really that the Donald Sanford script is his script. It really isn't. I don't think there's a lot from the Beaumont pitch in it.
Writer that lives in Charles Beaumont's old house currently?
I don't know.
J. Michael Straczynski.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
He told me that in his interview when we were talking about his time on the Twilight Zone and the 1927 Yankees version of Writers that the original had. And I mentioned Beaumont, and he said, "Oh, ironically, I moved into his house." And I'm like, "Oh, that's amazing."
That's funny. Apparently, Donald Sanford wrote 17 episodes of the Karloff show, Thriller. Yeah, so like he was the major writing force behind that show, or one of them. I mean, I think there were a lot more episodes. There were a lot of episodes. He wrote a ton of them.
It just really jerked me around because I see Charles Beaumont and I get super excited, and then find out it's not that much Charles Beaumont. Wait, what? No, come on.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I'm way more up on this episode than everybody else is. I mean, I know that it's on the nose, but I like the fact that he walks into the house and he says he feels like he's in a dream, and then he tries to leave through the door, and they tell them that the creature undreamed the doors. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's something about that kind of, the subjectivity of it. Is it all a dream? They're constantly questioning whether it's a dream. Yeah, I mean, and the Nellie Burt character is saying that the husband believes that she says her own husband believes that this is all just imagined, and that that he's never gonna that he's just gonna be able to walk out of there and it's still gonna be 1928. I mean, the fact that we follow through with the idea, the kind of very subjective thing of is this just the guy? Is it just Wade, the lead guy, and his his constructed dreamed world that we're in, down to leaving and her just disintegrating, even if that isn't. I mean, which doesn't even quite fit with the idea that somehow she, she wouldn't be so old that she would just turn to dust. I mean, it's like that world just kind of evaporates around him, But I don't know. I mean,
and so do the others obviously follow. So yeah, maybe,
or maybe or it also seemed like him leaving was, and the creature, the entity, whatever, finishing its experiment. Was basically just damning all the other people who had stayed out of vanity and whatever, So I don't know. I mean, I think the fact that it keeps working that theme is cool, even if it's a little on the nose.
Yeah. Here, Steve says, I just thought it was well made and effective. Hadn't seen it for some time. Oh no, and excuse me, that's they're talking about in the chat, and I understand. As we mentioned, the other great sci-fi writers of the Beaumont era, Jikuriho is saying that I Sing the Body Electric is one of his least favorite Twilight Zones, and that, of course, was a Bradbury.
That's true.
Bradbury wrote. So.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. I love that they immediately name Wade Drifter. Hey, Drifter.
Yes.
And then everybody's calling him that. And then later, she's saying, why did they call you Drifter? It's like, wait, you just started calling me this.
You guys are calling me Drifter. Yeah. But
I drift away from things.
But he also, but maybe he's drifted off to sleep and this into this dream,
So what do we know him from? Not much.
Well, not a lot, but he's in Bridge on the River Kwai. The actor Jeffrey Horn. He has a part in Bridge on the River Kwai, which I was just watching the 4K Blu-ray of. Which looks pretty good.
Wow.
But he's also, he was an actor studio guy, like a lot of these people.
Yes.
And he's in a Twilight Zone episode called The Gift, which I don't remember, but he plays an alien.
Yeah, I do remember that one. It's interesting ending, but it was kind of a weird one. He's in The Green Hornet, a two-parter in The Green Hornet, Beautiful Dreamer. FBI.
Cool. You see all these roles he almost got.
Right. Oh, really?
He was almost cast by Elia Kazan, but Warren Beatty got the role. Then he was almost the lead in La Dolce Vita.
Jesus!
Wow!
God, this poor guy, but he really gives it his all. He's very engaging to watch.
I think he does a good job. One of the
things he's in for Comic Book Nerd. Unfortunately, he's in the television adaptation of the It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman musical. He's not a he's a forgettable character. He's Ray Clive. I don't remember who Ray Clive was in that fine production.
I do not know. One of the things I thought that was interesting about this is that, like, part of the impetus for a Gothic-y script was that Stefano wanted to hire this director Curtis Harrington to direct he didn't end up getting the job, but because there were already director jobs promised by Leslie Stevens from directors from Stony Brook, but the Curtis Harrington's kind of interesting. He directed this movie Night Tide. I have a poster for it in the other room, and it's like it's a sort of Val Lewton pastiche of sorts about a mermaid, a Lorelei type story. Dennis Hopper stars in it, like young Dennis Hopper before, like in 61 or something, 62, like long before Easy Rider, and a little after his kind of bigger Hollywood career, Rebel Without a Cause and all that, Giant or whatever. And actually Luana Anders is in that movie too. And that's how I think she came to the Outer Limits, attention, to Stefano's attention, because he saw Night Tide. She's the female lead in this. And I think she's like a really interesting person, like an interesting, like, actor in all this stuff. She's in Easy Rider. She's like when they go to the commune, she's the lady in Easy Rider, and she was from Jeff Corey's acting class, along with Jack Nicholson and Town and Sally Kellerman and all those people. So, like, she's just in that crowd that kind of bridged this we're looking for work in the late 50s, early 60s to we're the most important people in Hollywood in the 70s,
Pretty cool. No, I didn't realize some of those roles that she had.
She's also in Dementia 13, Francis Coppola's first movie.
That I did notice.
She's in a bunch of other stuff, actually. I mean, The Pit and the Pendulum, the Corman movie, and just like, she has smaller parts all throughout, like, a lot of those kind of 70s movies.
Well, and Paul Stanley, not to be confused with the Kiss Paul Stanley, director, lots of television credits, starting in the 50s and going all the way through the 80s. And in fact, Crazy Like a Fox, one of the last things he did in 1986, but made it to 1987 with a William Tell show. I didn't really realize there was a William Tell show. I didn't remember that.
Wait, Crazy Like a Fox, that was the one with Jack Warden in it, right?
Correct. And John Rubinstein.
Yeah, when I was like a kid, we were in San Francisco, and they were shooting an episode of it. And
that's right. It was in San Francisco. Yep.
Yeah, like that. This is one of my early I stand around for too long watching them shoot something on the street moments. Like, because I remember like standing like right as close as I could get before the like set PA would stop you, and they had a car in it. There was like some kind of red sports car, right? It was like a weird looking red sports car that the guy drove.
Sure.
And so the scene was them jumping in the car and taking off. And so they drove like right up to me, because they just took, they're just driving past where the camera can see them. Right?
Sure.
Very exciting for a 10-year-old though.
That's outstanding. Hilarious, man. Well, at least it was Jack Warden. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I was maybe not as big of a fan when I was 10, but I've come to appreciate him as one of our great actors.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and no, he did do a lot of TV, and really started in the anthology years, and did a lot of really great episodic, from several Charlie's Angels, 5 of them, to 19 Hawaii 5-0s.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. 16 medical centers. Chad Everett, of course. So no, these are significant shows.
Yeah, so you're right. He was a hack. I'll give it to you. But
hey, man, we need guys like that.
You gotta work. You gotta work.
That's all right. And again, I think the end result, it's an ambitious episode that everything doesn't come together, but there's a lot of interesting things in it.
I do think it's kind of funny that the creature ultimately was like, oh, I see, love is the missing part of the equation that solves everything. It's like, So those people in there, none of them, like, she didn't love her father. That the husband and wife didn't
They
love
hate
each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty damning by omission for all the rest of the people there.
Well, yeah, and Gloria Graham only loved herself.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of I had to remind myself that the whole alien testing us thing wasn't done to death by Star Trek at this point.
No, yeah, this was first. Yes, that's true.
Right. But it is a recurring Outer Limits theme when you think of the Martin Sheen episode that right now is not is Nightmare.
Nightmare. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
So.
Although
yeah.
I'm not sure that I can't think of another one where it's so explicit. I mean, and one of my least favorite parts of it is that it's so explicit that he's basically a scientist doing an experiment. Like, I think that there's probably a way to do that with a little bit more nuance that's not quite so on the nose. And, as to, I'm always a little suspicious whenever we get in these situations where we talk about, like, greed and this and that, and then we show pictures of it. I feel like it's a little much. Like,
but this is it kind of, again, though, because it's the early 60s, it is that period of, wow, we're really starting to get out there with science. What have we wrought? I mean, so I mean, I understand timing wise and stuff.
Right, but
isn't that funny now? Here, Jack making a point about Gloria Graham. Yeah, her face. I mean, again.
Well, yeah. So she had some issues, right? She had some personal issues, and one of them was she continued to get plastic surgery, like, over and over and over again, like, just
trying to hang on to her youth. Yeah,
I don't even think it was that, actually, because it started It started really early. Like, she got like a cheek implants or something. And she got this, and it was not like she did it as she got older. She had quite a bit of plastic surgery when she was younger, just in a but presumably it's a tough town and a tough business when people are judging you by your looks all the time, and some people can't handle that well, and like, I don't think that that's illegitimate at all, but I think that she was just always had this feeling like she wasn't perfect or whatever. At least that's the pop psychology version of it. It's a kind of bullshit way for me to frame it, but like, she did get plastic surgery a lot, and it wasn't even when she was older. It was like continually throughout her career.
Okay. No, it's a shame. What else was I going to say about this one? Have I run through all the photos? I mean, basically, again, a little ship of fools in this.
Yeah, sure.
A little similarity there as well.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that.
I think there's a lot, although I do think there's a lot to the idea that could have been developed more, I think that could have been really great and really interesting with a little more subtlety, a little less on the nose with stuff. Who knows if you even need the alien in the attic, I think that probably what's going on in the story otherwise is, or at least maybe you don't need it as explicitly. I mean, you could just cut to the brain house outside at the end, and you told the story,
But again, doesn't it speak to the network's probable need for there to be a bear every week?
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. I'm just saying, like, just in theory, you're just breaking the story down. You don't necessarily.
Absolutely. But again, effective lighting when he's being scanned, and I didn't grab the one lighting sequence where it's like he's in a lightning bolt as he's heading towards the alien,
kind of like shooting through those glass paintings or whatever.
Yeah. I really liked it, and I meant to go back and snap a photo of it, but when he first discovers that they can't leave and they go to commercial, and when they come back, he is in a silhouette of Gloria Graham and the old man, explaining to them that he's trapped. And I really like that framing, and I really like that, again, another good Peach moment and another good directing moment.
Yeah, it's some good Peach.
That's some fine Peach you got there, kid. Absolutely.
Did you notice the eye glint they kept doing?
I didn't notice that.
No.
It could have been just the light they're looking into.
Well, it's probably the little inky lights shooting in their eyes. That's like the trick. That's the John Alton trick.
Yeah, and but it was good. You get a few close-ups of him and her with that little laser in their eyes almost, and it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And also, I get really depressed when they sit down to play bridge, and just thinking, "Wow, this is hell."
Yeah.
Playing bridge.
Yeah.
That and the piano, and her playing the piano as well. Gloria Graham playing the piano. I'm just like, yeah, there's, I'm like, aren't they at least, turning the radio on or something like that? And it's like, no.
Well, they don't have a radio. They don't have a
clearly
phone. They're cut off from the world, right?
Not a single luxury. I understand.
Yes, exactly like Gilligan's Island. But Gilligan's Island, if everything in Gilligan's Island was a doomed dream that was brought on by a house that's a big alien brain.
That was the deep, dark secret when Sherwood Schwartz and his son were smoking from the hookah.
We don't have any evidence that that's not what's going on.
How about it's a whole island? It's a brain. Pass me the hookah, Dad. Not enough weed for me.
Funded by the Howls.
Yes, exactly. They were behind it the whole time.
Wow, that's even better.
It's disturbing when you get down to it.
And she's Nellie Burt.
Yeah.
Shut up, Thurston. Love me some real power in that. Oh man.
Or are they just dreaming the perfect version of their marriage? Like the Howls. I mean, in real life they're like the couple in this show. In this episode, they've created a world for themselves on this island where they can be in love, where they can. I think I'm going too far with this.
I like it, and I need a tall redheaded animal prince all the time.
Yeah,
sounds good, Thurston. All right.
From a microcosm, I always love the fact that the Howls are still treated as if they're rich and above everybody on this island where there shouldn't be any class.
Yeah, money means nothing. Exactly.
Yes. The Howls are still rich, even here.
How come they didn't go Lord on the Flies on them and really mess them up?
Yes, I feel like maybe Sherwood Schwartz is not plumbing the depths of drama that he could have.
Or called Drew.
I don't know. I mean,
we gotta email Drew Friedman and go, hey man, we got a companion piece to your Mayberry parody.
Yeah,
you gotta have him. You gotta have Gilligan's Island be a cross between The Outer Limits and Lord of the Flies. He would be so up. Oh man. Oh, if only I knew him better, I would be writing him right now.
Don't bother the man.
No, I do it. Honestly, I talk to him like once every 5 years. And even then, it's like, yeah, I'm going to take a pass this time, John. Okay, let's talk to you, Mr. Friedman.
But anyone who's watched this and wasn't familiar with Gloria Graham, please go watch In a Lonely Place. I think it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime right now.
Really? That's fantastic.
That's good, because absolutely.
We can all agree.
Yeah, I mean, it is literally one of my favorite movies ever. Like, it was one of the earliest noirs I saw. It's a Hollywood set noir. It's Humphrey Bogart plays a screenwriter in it.
Yep.
A screenwriter who has anger issues and the kind of sort of the twisted, unhealthy relationship that he and Gloria Graham develop is just beautiful. I love it. Yeah,
it's like halfway.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, you're right. I didn't need to say the anger issues part. I just needed to say he was a screenwriter. I apologize.
It's like halfway to Captain Queeg, and I would say that if you really follow his career trajectory as he was aging from being a traditional leading man, this was a great little half step before getting to Caine Mutiny and Captain Queeg.
Yeah, you know what though? Caine Mutiny is bullshit compared to In a Lonely Place. In a Lonely Place has
there's a lot more meat to it. Yes,
yeah,
I agree with that.
I mean, I like Caine Mutiny, but it ain't. That's for the squares. In a Lonely Place has it has nuance. His character has nuance, and the ending is one of the most powerful modern endings in a Hollywood movie, and it 100%. Came out in 1950. They just walk away from each other.
Yes,
it's so intense and so
disturbing.
And it just feels like it's maybe not a real ending for a Hollywood movie at the time, and somehow that along with like the ending of that, the ending of The Third Man, both movies where people just walk away from each other at the end are incredibly powerful, I think.
I completely agree, and wasn't expecting that kind of nuanced, deep movie when I first saw it, and it was almost like, well, what kind of fucking Hollywood movie is this?
Well,
in terms of it not being
no, totally.
Sentimental at the end.
I was a 16-year-old when I saw it, and
it
fucking blew my mind. I thought this was the greatest thing ever. I was a pretentious kid. I didn't I wasn't angry about it. I loved it.
I wasn't angry either. I was shocked because, as you say, it had a very modern sensibility to it in 1953. No, that's amazing. So ironic.
Nicholas Ray directed it, if we didn't say that. And, she and Nicholas Ray got married, and then she married Nicholas Ray's son. And it just, she...
Wow.
And so it clearly didn't work out that well. But, it's an interesting life. I need to read a biography on Nicholas Ray. I've always been fascinated with him.
Agreed.
He's one of those guys who... He made great movies and he kind of made bad movies, and it really didn't. I think that he was less a craftsman and more somebody who's just really going for it, which can be really interesting, And sometimes you get good stuff and sometimes you don't. But
I know Dennis Hopper did an essay on him for Turner Classic Movies, one of those interstitial 5 to 10 minute things of a star talking about another star or a filmmaker or whatever. And he had really interesting Nicholas Ray stories.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, they were both in the Wim Wenders movie, The American Friend.
Wow.
From the mid 70s. And, Nicholas Ray acts in it. So if you want to see, that, it's an interesting movie. I mean, Wim Wenders, talk about all over the map, but like Wim Wenders, he's actually adapting one of Patricia Highsmith's Ripley novels, and it's a very loose adaptation of it, but it's still interesting. It's certainly interesting for the people who are in it, and Bruno Ganz is in it as well, who's in a bunch of those, and if I'm not mistaken, maybe somebody will tell me I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So I'd recommend The American Friend, though. I mean, it's not perfect, but it does have, it was very influential in a certain way, for back to cinematography, because, Robbie Mueller shot it. And he was one of those guys who, like, from in the 70s and 80s, he really changed the way that people looked at lighting, particularly like with fluorescence and, different, temperature light sources in the same shot, and the way that he shot stuff, was kind of like, it was just bold and different in a way that people weren't seeing before. And then a lot of that was really adopted through the 80s.
Very cool.
That's our European cinematography moment.
That was good.
I enjoyed it. Whatchamacall was just on the other day, Wim Wenders, the classic with the Angels.
Wings of Desire.
Wings of Desire, of course.
Yeah.
Bruno Ganz, Peter Falk.
Nick Cave performance. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to tell you about a girl.
Talk about the Superior remake? Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I've worked with that director. He's a very nice guy. I'm not going to say anything bad.
All right.
I didn't see the movie, though, so I have plausible deniability.
Yeah, I didn't either. I couldn't bring myself. I knew it was going to be wrong.
Although
laughter when Meg Ryan gets hit by the truck, and it's just stop, dog. Yeah. Like, that's a bad sign for your movie, I feel.
Yeah. Although, Wim Wenders also made a sequel to Wings of Desire called Far Away So Close.
Yes.
And I could never remember the title of it, and at the time it came out, I just kept calling it "Come Over Here, Get Away From Me." Like there's but it's not very good. Like I don't.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So I stayed away. That's what I heard.
He's made a lot of not so good movies.
But Wings of Desire is beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's a great movie. And and you know what? Alice in the Cities, one of his 70s movies. Kings of the Road. Paris, Texas is actually, that's a masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. So Harry Dean.
I like good stuff, Gabe. I don't just like shit.
Oh my God, John. will you not take everything so personally?
I'm kidding. I love it. Go ahead. I love it. No. I'm doing that also. I'm doing it really for the, 7 people watching, 7.5 people watching.
It's important for us to keep up our characters, to stay in character throughout the Outer Limits podcast.
I'm still Fred Flintstone. Don't get me wrong. I understand. It's all good.
All right. Well, I think we're done with this episode.
Yeah, I think so.
I actually liked it quite a bit. I'm very tired from working and being in long meetings all day. But otherwise, despite my demeanor, I did quite enjoy this episode.
Yeah, I think on balance, I liked it. I liked it better than Mr. Sanford's 2 episodes of Petrocelli that he directed in the early 70s.
What was Petrocelli? I don't know what that is.
Barry Sullivan.
Okay.
Was a defense lawyer, and it was a fun kind of, one of those universal procedurals, but it was a lawyer instead of being a detective. But very, very watchable NBC show. There's a few episodes on YouTube. Petrocelli, everybody. Not to be confused with Del Vecchio, which was Judd Hirsch as a cop.
Okay.
Pre-Taxi.
Oh, all right.
Jeff remembers Del Vecchio.
I remember Del Vecchio. Thank you for
Petrocelli.
Okay, look, so just to sum up, my recommendations, and to some extent, I think Jeff would concur, you have to see In a Lonely Place. You have to see, and you certainly have to see Paris, Texas, even though it's only we're only tangentially talking about it. John wants you to watch Petrocelli.
Yes, please. Barry Sullivan is Petrocelli.
All right.
I have to find an interruption like my iron-sided Magnum ones and the man. I must find a Petrocelli will not be seen tonight so that we may bring you the following special. That is my quest. All right. Good job, gentlemen. And as always, we appreciate your attention on another episode of To the Outer Limits. Next week, it's what is it called?
What is it? Is it Fun and Games?
It is Fun and Games. Yes, indeed, sir. With one of the great forgotten heroes of the 1960s, his career cut short at the age of 35, the great Nick Adams.
Oh, yeah, Nick Adams. Well known from his, Japanese monster movies and stuff,
Absolutely.
and as well as being in Rebel Without a Cause.
And Rebel Without a Cause and the TV show The Rebel, of course.
Yeah.
And short-lived but very popular Western of its era. And when Clint Eastwood went to Italy, Nick went to Japan.
And also next week, if you watch the episode in preparation next week, it's one Gerd Oswald directed, and I think Kenneth Peach was the DP. So take a look and see how Kenneth Peach's approach changes with under the direction of a craftsman like Gerd Oswald.
I like it. That sounds good. And join us next time for another episode. Oh, I'm sorry. We couldn't hear you, Jeff. Go ahead. Start again, please.
Who's playing the monster in Fun and Games? Would it happen to be their favorite go-to monster guy? Played the chimp and
no. Yeah, Polish name or something.
For some reason, Jürgen Prochnow name's jumping in my head.
It's not. Yeah, that is so incredibly close. That's Das Boot, but that's very, very close.
Stand by.
Tune in next week to find out who played the monster in Fun and Games.
I think that's a fair idea. Absolutely. So until then, join us next week as we once again return to the Outer Limits. Thank you very much for watching. Everybody take care. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay healthy. Bye-bye, everybody.
Janos Prohaska.
Thank you.